Ah, wait, no, go back. Ah, damn. Okay, time to arrange some boxes of incense on top of the counter. Okay, so I know this is really weird lighting. I'm not wearing that, so I'm not there's like now there's not set up like this. So I so this is today's bills, and that's the last one that's filled up all four compartments. So it is time for another backlog, and it looks like there's a couple of times I've got a dose. Usually bedtime. The bedtime ones are just all the ones that kind of help me get some sleep. So they're not, this one was a dinner dose. So, okay, so it is the final series of what's it called? Big Bang Theory. Oh, last 2 days. And then I start this one because I didn't feel like going to Target or Kroger just for vitamins. And so these are the only ones that don't have extra iron in them, and they're gummies, which I don't like gummy vitamins. I understand that there are reasons that adults can take them, and these are generally sound bound reasons, not some kind of, well, I mean, I've got, the gastroesophageal problems. So, so then what happens is, sometimes I unpack my sleep once I take a pill to excess stomach yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I can take a pill, I should take it as a pill rather than as a gum, you know? And so that is not this week, next week, but I accidentally forgot my lunch doses a couple times, so I don't know, I'm extending that. And in theory, I can go on Thursday down to their place and get a new script written for me. But just in case I don't feel like it, for whatever reason, like back pain and shit, and blood right there. Yeah, for some reason, but I just want me to get down there before the office closes. I've got just enough. But yeah, it's one of those things like, speaking of CBS sitcom, which is what I started talking about, Big Bang Theory. I'm going to get to Big Bang Theory. So, oh yeah, the series, oh shit, I forget the other one, and Allison Faye. It starts twisting. But I really like her. So, something Ferris. I think that's right. Anna Ferris and Allison Jane. Something like that. But that won't happen. So, Big Bang Theory. A lot of my friends really hate this show for what feels like this kind of stupid reasons. there are those who don't like it, for what feels like better reasons. So the stupid reasons are, oh, it's like blackface for, like, first off, no, it's really not. That, like, nerd culture would have to be, though that comparison doesn't fit on so many levels. We can argue for marginalized, but not all marginalizations are specific pressures. Because I have been a reason this way. Yeah, not all marginalizations are systemic pressures. At the very least, just like dump it all out in one big bottle. Like, I guess I picked up all these out. Let me be myself. But not all marginalizations are systemic oppression. It's just like, like comparing it to nerd blackface or, horrible stereotypes. Like, first off, like, I guess I could see to an extent, how some people feel stereotyping, but at the same time, it's like, I was introduced to the show at a time when I had, like, kind of given up on network television and hadn't watched any in some years. And my ex was going to visit his parents in Tennessee, where they had retired to, and his father, who died last week. And I honestly feel worse about Dennis passing than I do about my own father passing, but I like Dennis more. And, while my father and I had come to a sort of amends before he died, it just, I don't know, I still felt a lot of resentment. And only recently, I want to say the last few years, passed, but that's another story for another time. So yeah, like, I was introduced to the show through Scott, who was with his parents, and his father said, come in here and see this show about you and your friends. And he wasn't wrong. I've known several people throughout my life who, some of the characters on there ring so true to form. And plus, I think it was Stephen Lefton, one of the producer directors, producer creators, directing some episodes. I don't know, but one of the producers, he was saying that he actually was in college with, a guy who would just, like, go mute around women for the longest time. Though I don't think he knew if that young man ever was. Oh wait, I don't need to do this. Did I? No, I did not. Wait. Son of a bitch, I can't come to me for okay. I guess I probably should get that one. There's I can't cover shit today. Okay. So yeah, we were saying in the DVDs for one of the seasons that he was the first season. But Scott owns the first 5 seasons, and after that, he just kind of got bored because, I don't know. In Scott's opinion, they were just adding too many characters, and he was getting a bit more story based than sitcom jokes. And I don't know. That's kind of like where I really started appreciating it, because I like story-based comedies, and I like it character-driven, not joke-driven, and that's like the primary reason I still really love it. I love Maya Bialik's character, Amy. I know there are people who are just like, have some issues with, things she says and does. But she is coming, from, generally speaking, a scientific perspective. She is a neuroscientist. That is what she went to university for. That doesn't mean she necessarily knows biology. True, but or at least as a medical biologist, dedicated biologist, I guess like a generalized biologist, but science is based on specialties, and yeah, sometimes people overstep their bounds of knowledge and speak out of turn and all that. And that just that doesn't make that doesn't excuse it, but it kind of that doesn't excuse what she does say, but it does it is something very relatable. But yeah, I love the characters, and so but yeah, if you wanna rip on the some of the tropes of their storytelling as being more tired or being more tired or half-assed or half-baked. I can see that. I can see that. If you want to rip on in that adorable misogyny video, holy shit, I do this on my finger quotes. What can I say? It's a thing of being a teenager in the 90s. But yeah, if you want to rip on that, stuff like that adorable misogyny video, go right ahead. I'm not excusing any of that. They're lampshading. They don't. They kind of just use it as a thing that they do in the storytelling. It's not really something that they use to address issues. At the same time, I can deal with that because the humor's gotten a bit more character-based rather than it's not based on jokes. It's based on the characters and the stories that they're telling with these characters. And I can see how like Leonard would not get up and correct somebody for saying something wrong. He's fairly timid, even in more recent seasons where Penny has kind of taught him to be a little bit more confident and come out of his shell stuff. She's still often a bit mean, though not as mean as his own mother was. So, he knows, he knows how to recognize certain situations, but that doesn't mean he knows the best way to deal with them, right? But, okay, looks like I'm done with my meds, and, if you want to rip into me for, defending, to a certain extent, but again, as I said, I can see, like, if you don't like the storytelling, if you don't like the way that the jokes, are written and delivered, that's fine. It's not, obviously because we didn't want my younger sister to feel bad. That was literally his reason. He didn't want, mom to feel bad. My mother really wanted me to go, because I couldn't really relate to children my age, and Catholic schools do not race. Like, they will hold you back if you don't know, the word for that grade, but they will not push you ahead, you know. Um, I think that's largely just a socialization thing, or, the reasoning for it. And I can understand that. I can certainly understand that. I think also being Catholic, it might just be a humility thing. Um, which I also find completely understandable because I, I, if I was in a situation that would have allowed for grade skipping, I might have, gotten a little bit of an attitude, like on young Sheldon. I get, there's only so much I can relate to because Sheldon Cooper is coded as like, and when I say coded, it's like the writing, there's all these little cues that people familiar with a person is, in Sheldon Cooper's case, has autism. They would see this as, oh, this is coding for, somebody with autism, or at least like what people, interpret people with autism. So that's coding. You'll see things about gay coding, and you see that a lot of, realize in films, especially Disney films, Dragon, Scar's thing. I love Scar. You'll see a lot of things about characters being gay coded, and that is definitely a long-standing thing. But yeah, Sheldon Cooper is a very autism-coded character. I don't have autism, at least not to anybody's diagnostic criteria. And I'm thinking all of my mental health professionals have been correct in that because just through various neurodivergent communities like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, that's a neurodivergence. It just means that your brain is hardwired to work this one way that doesn't quite fit in with how society generally operates. And that's why I don't balk at the idea that the leading research in why are trans people suggests that it is something, that it is some variety of neurodivergence. And of course, somebody can have more than one neurodivergence. But yeah, there's a lot of traits that overlap with ADHD and autism. And some people are diagnosed with both, likely for good reason. But yeah, I seem to have a disproportionate number of friends who are somewhere on an autism spectrum, and I definitely don't share all of their traits. I definitely don't. Like there are, like I said, all over the autism spectrum. So there are some who I think they're rewording this now. So yeah, like I've got this one friend, and they live out in Eugene, Oregon, and they said they prefer they pronouns. But they said that they were diagnosed as lower functioning, and but they're very articulate online, and but they say that they're not incredibly verbal in real life. That they've figured out like various little systems with their friends, especially their friends they live with, their roommates, how to navigate like going to a restaurant or out to a nightclub for dancing, understand a lot of ADHD and autistic people just kind of get along, because there's this sort of, there's something in the brain that just kind of clicks, like okay, I figure out, I know kind of where you're coming from with the ADHD. I think a lot of it has to do with, how we, just kind of, get used to focusing our attention in different ways. That, it's just, it's easier for me to understand that, God, I got a friend, who's out in the UK, and he is certainly autistic, like I said, some would probably, say that it's higher functioning, and, he apologized profusely, like, the first couple times we were chatting on Facebook Messenger, after oh, sorry, if I just talk too much about this thing. I'm like, no, you're fine. It's, it's your interests. It's what you like to talk about. It's how we started talking on, this other Facebook group. Go ahead. That's, if I'm losing interest, we're on Facebook Messenger. I can go do something else and come back to this conversation later. It's but yeah, so yeah, like on some level, I do find the Sheldon Cooper character, especially in Young Sheldon, kind of relatable. Yeah, they've not, had perfect continuity with Young Sheldon and Big Bang Theory. Sheldon Cooper as an adult. That's just something that happens with spin-offs, like the continuity on Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days was not congruent. Or Joey was Chachi and Happy Days. The continuity on All in the Family on the Jeffersons and Good Times. This continuities were not congruent. And, like the latter three were all, the Jeffersons and Maude were spin-offs of All in the Family, and Good Times was a spin-off of Maude, because Florida was Maude's main first 2, probably 3 seasons. I'm sorry, I love Norman Lear, and I was so happy to discover he's still alive. And the fact that I'm mentioning it right now probably means he's going to die soon, because that's just how I am. I can talk about, a celebrity that I hadn't thought about in ages, and then in a few weeks they die. Like Ron Ashton. About 2 weeks before he died, I was at the what's it called? Video rental that used to be in downtown Ann Arbor. It's called Liberty State Video. There's a head shop / vape shop there right now. But yeah, there's a pet shop there now, and but it was Liberty State Video, and they had in this little shelf they had locally produced films. Was this film called The Ego, which was filmed in Tecumseh, Michigan, which isn't that far from here. I want to say it's about a half-hour, 40-minute drive, which makes it sound about as far away from Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor as Detroit is. But here's the funny thing: it's actually closer. It's just that's the way the freeways are arranged. So it takes you longer to get there. But that's another story for another time. So then what happens? Oh God, is this bad with the volume? I don't know. I'll find out. We'll find out together. Hooray! So then what happens? So then, like about 2 weeks after I took that video back, and that was an awful movie. And Ron Ashton didn't even have the largest part in it. I didn't even recognize it as him at first until like the credits were going. I was like, wait, was that him? No, that didn't look like him. And then the credits were going, and I'm like, oh my God, that was him. But yeah, he was in that. And yeah, like his name like got like like a very prominent billing on the front of the box. I mean, it was kind of I got the impression that it was kind of barely in it. searches for other stuff. It might have had Al Lewis in it. And not even 2 weeks, like 10 days later, Al Lewis died. I killed people. And the first time that happened, I was, I want to say, 16-ish, maybe. Jean Marie, the French one, to be 123 and about 3/4 or so years old. I was talking to a friend of mine in a study hall during our. I can't remember if we were playing chess that day or Othello, but we like alternated between the two study hall that year because it's just complicated. But then what happened? So I was talking to her. I was talking to my friend who was him. I was talking to him about her, and pretty much like over the weekend, like Monday, we're back in school, and he like waves this rolled up newspaper at me. He's like, "You killed her." I'm like, "What did I do? I didn't kill anybody." And he says, "That French woman, she died." And he shows me the newspaper article. I'm like, "Oh my god, I did!" And like ever since then, I've gone on this killing spree, and now, oh shit, I've even forgotten who I was talking about. But they're gonna die. Oh, Norman Lear, he's gonna die. He's in his 90s. I mean, I guess it was about time, but just watch. In about 2 weeks from this, he's probably gonna die. And if he doesn't, then my curse has been lifted. But, even if it's a month from now, it was just delayed, I don't know. I hope he doesn't die. I do. And I really hope Betty White doesn't die. In fact, like, the more I talk about Betty White, the longer she keeps going. So, because I'm convinced that when Betty White dies, network television is going to go with her because she's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest career in network television. And if you look at the timeline, her career in network television is almost as long as network television itself. So it's like Betty White is television. When she finally goes, she's taking network TV with her, and it's just all gonna be like Hulu and Netflix from that point on. I mean, yeah, sure, the networks will still probably nominally exist, but like nobody's gonna watch live TV at that point. They just aren't. It's just all the online streaming services, all paid stuff. There's really much to watch, but it's at least not as much as they are on live network television. So yeah, it's already going in that direction. So saying that, it's not like an exaggeration. And if it is, it's just like barely so. Because that woman's got. Oh, that's right. She was born in 1920. She was actually the oldest cast member of the Golden Girls by only a few months. She was older than Bea Arthur by only a few months. And then there was a 2-year difference between Bea Arthur and Estelle Getty, and then there was a good 10-year difference between Estelle Getty and Rue McClanahan. And so, yeah, I know there was a joke on the Golden Girls about how Blanche was, really not all that much younger than the rest of them, or than, Rose and Dorothy anyway. But she actually was like a good 10 years, she was about, like 13 years younger than the rest of the cast. Or at least about 10, 12, 13 years younger than half the cast, and, closer to 10 years younger than Estelle Getty. There was kind of like, an urban legend of sort, because Estelle Getty had only really done stage stuff before the Golden Girls. Like, that's all she was really known for was as a stage performer. She just, decided, yeah, sure, I'll go to this audition, and, she got cast in the Golden Girls it was really just supposed to be like, like a little guest role in the pilot, and, maybe recurring because, she was as Dorothy's mother, but, the audience just warmed up, just loved her in the test pilot, which ended up being, the aired pilot. And the original fourth character was supposed to be Coco, the was referred to as both in the pilot. And he was, Blanche's, was never clear in the pilot if he was live-in or not. But, he was Blanche's housekeeper. They was implied live-in because I think we did see him as John's later in the episode. But yeah, he was going to be Blanche's housekeeper before the other two moved in. And then he was just kind of like the writers, just kind of like hand-waved it. Like, he was never heard from after the pilot. So, when asked to address this, they said, oh, well, yeah, he moved out when Sophia moved in, because there was no room for it, and, all that, so, the Jade Pines burned down, Sophia had to move in, he moved out. But yeah, I guess the test audience didn't like him that much. I really would have liked to see where that had gone if he had stayed in the cast. And speaking of television, I was going to watch my show, and I should get back to that. And I've been rambling on for a good, I think that's 35 or so minutes. It's not perfectly legible from this distance for me, but I can make out shapes and kind of guess from there. Because that's how, the low vision spectrum works. It's like sometimes, like somebody with, like closer to 20/20 vision with this prescription of glasses, they would probably be able to read that just fine. Me, it's like I can make out shapes and then guess, especially knowing that clocks only go 1 through 6 in their time. Or I guess, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you'll figure it out. And if you don't figure it out, well, you could unsubscribe. And speaking of subscribing, if you enjoyed watching this nonsense after it posts to the government archive, please hit subscribe, hit the notifications, because YouTube doesn't, like to unsubscribe people. Please interact with videos either just by hitting the like, thumbs up, or leaving a comment, or, just like, it could be a complimentary comment, or you can just shout obscenities at me, which I'll probably ignore since I should do a video about hate comments that I get, many of which seem to address the fact that I don't wear a shirt very much. But yeah, I'm gonna go get back to my show. I've already got like the Roku screensaver on for quite some time. Alright, take care, hats and kisses, and goodbye.